Welcome back to another episode of the Domestic Boyfriends podcast. My name is Dean, and I am joined by my co-host Vincent.
Hello.
Alrighty, it's a pretty exciting last week, first episode, and we also got to see a pretty cool movie that released.
Yeah, man.
This episode is going to be about the new Batman, with Robert Pattinson, playing Bruce Wayne. Before, don't sue me. That's from a different podcast. They call him that. For quick news, an I Am Legend sequel was announced, starring Michael B. Jordan. I think that's really interesting. Anybody who's watched the two endings for I Am Legend, I think there was like a novel for it. It's an interesting thing. It's an older movie. The No Way Home suit got revealed in its entirety, with some concept art. Looks pretty cool. What are your opinions on the No Way Home suit? I'm pretty sure I've asked you this after we watched it.
Wait, like the suit from the end of the movie?
Yeah, the concept art for that got released.
What?
Yeah, I'll send it to your Twitter.
Oh my god.
After we're done.
I'm excited to see that. I really liked how the suit looked at the end of the movie. It looked
blue.
so pretty.
Very blue.
It was very blue, but it was it looks like the classic suit that we all sort of grew up with. It looks very similar to the Spider-Man the Animated Series suit, and I love that TV show to death.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool. I thought it was interesting when they made a red and black suit, because the whole thing about him having a red and black suit, like back in like his first issue, is the fact that like coloring and the way that like inking worked back in the day. That's why the Hulk was gray and they made him green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I thought that was kind of cool. Looks really cool. I think it makes me sad because I feel like we're going to go back to a CGI suit again. Because the black one was practical, even with the golden accents from the movie. But this one seems very glossy, a little too glossy for practical effects.
What if we finally hit the point where in a superhero movie we're gonna like go back to just spandex? What if there's like nothing mechanical in the suit at all?
That'd be pretty awesome. That's some like Super Sentai Power Ranger stuff. That'd be cool. Next thing on the list, Disney Plus announced a new subscription option that you can have. It's going to be cheaper than the current one, but it's going to have ads. So just like how Hulu does it.
I wonder if there's going to be a skip ad feature.
I
wonder what the ads are going to be.
For $4.99.
Is it just going to be like... hey,
me.
you could have this content without the ad if you buy Disney Plus Premium.
It's that for 5 minutes. It's literally probably just gonna be like ads for their movies.
Probably.
You can watch this movie perfectly fine without our ads.
You know, if that's gonna be the case, I might like change my Disney Plus subscription every now and again so I can just get a refresher on what's coming out.
That's true. I mean, I like going to the movies early, specifically because usually there's stuff that I don't hear about.
Oh, because of the trailers?
Mm-hmm. I usually don't hear about half the stuff. I wouldn't have known the Uncharted movie is coming out unless somebody online told me, or I saw it in the movie theater.
I remember it being talked about for me in Top Gun.
Yeah, all right.
Quick thing. You know what a D-Box seat is, right?
What the hell is that?
Okay, so D-Box is like, like 4D movies where you like sit in the seat that fucking moves.
Oh, never mind. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So D-Box, at least at the Cinemark that I go to, I think it might just be a Cinemark thing. They have those kinds of seats. It really is. It feels like you're sitting in a DualSense controller for a PS5.
Yeah.
That's how I saw Free Guy. And like during that whole skydiving segment at the front, I was moving along with the dude. It was really good. I do not have really any interest in Top Gun as a series, but I have a feeling that movie in D-Box is going to be incredible.
I hope the new Jurassic Park movie is
Oh
in
my god,
D-Box.
yes!
I wish.
Oh
I
my
hope they
god,
release.
yes!
I hope they release the first Jurassic World just so we can go into the ball scene, just bouncing along with them.
Oh man, I want like Iron Man 3 where I can
Do I
just
fall into the
feel
ocean?
different like parts of the chair. Oh my god.
Just fall into the
no.
ocean. Yeah.
I was gonna say different parts of the chair like vibrate when like a different part of the armor slaps onto his body.
The AC turns on when he's in the snow. No. And the last thing I have for Marvel, we're keeping Norse. No. News is going to be pretty short this week. Really didn't have anything too crazy. The only thing crazy is what we're going to be talking about. Finn
Uncharted.
Well, Uncharted, yes. Finn Wolfhard, the dude from Stranger Things, apparently was in talks with people at Marvel, so he might be joining the MCU.
Oh my gosh.
I think he'd be a pretty cool Harry.
The platypus?
Harry,
Oh,
The
Harry!
Goblin.
Oh, Harry.
the Goblin. Harry the Platypus. And the last thing
Harry
I have on my
Platypus.
list is there were 2 sequels to the live-action Fullmetal Alchemist announced. So, if anybody's seen the...
Two?
Yeah, 2 sequels. So I'm guessing they're just going to end off the series with that, because where they left off was kind of like odd.
Yeah. Interesting. You know, I didn't really mind the live action Full Metal Alchemist. I thought it looked kind of decent.
Neither did I.
Like the CGI was pretty gross, but like costume design, casting, and acting, pretty good.
Honestly, I thought Al's suit, despite it like being CGI,
Oh, Al's suit looked great.
It looked good. Even in the trailers when they first did it, I was just like, "This is my breaking point," because this guy's on the screen like 90% of the time. That's all I got. What do you got?
I've only got one thing, and this is important information to for people who want to go see the Batman. If you're going to an AMC theater, AMC is once again experimenting with ticket pricing. They've done this before in Europe, as well as I believe in the past here in the US. The justification for it is for one thing, they've done it before, but also at like sports venues and concerts, you pay more of a premium for those like special seats that are better than others.
Yeah.
So you might see seats in your theater closer to the middle being a couple dollars extra.
Oh, that's mean. Those are the best
Yeah,
seats.
no. But like also just in general, Batman tickets are more expensive than other movie tickets. In Long Island, a ticket for an Uncharted is $1 cheaper than seeing Batman, but in LA, an adult ticket for Uncharted is $8 cheaper at $17 for Uncharted alone.
That's crazy.
And then Batman's $25.
That's ridiculous. That's honestly ridiculous.
That's so much money.
That's a
That's
lot
a
of-
Netflix
Gas-
subscription. That's a lot more movies.
Gas is over $4 now, and I had to buy a gallon of milk, and it was also $4. We cannot be doing this. Movies are a get away from reality. This cannot be happening. Also, the way that you said it the first time in Uncharted sounds like a cool drink.
Ooh.
Can I get one
Take an
Uncharted, please?
Uncharted.
Yeah.
Can you double the shots in my Uncharted?
Yeah, that's all we have for news. If anybody listening has anything they want us to talk about, specifically during the news section, put a comment down on the YouTube video or tweet at us. And we'll be sure to add it to our list if we find it at least reliable enough. But yeah. We briefly talk about anime. We both love anime, just so you guys know. It's just, you know. Yeah.
It's the name of the podcast sort of gives it away.
Yeah.
For the cultured few who have seen the show.
Yeah, but MCU movies are MCU comic book movies, like all that stuff. But anyway, let's talk about this. So how did what? Okay, I think we need to get this out of the way first. Out of 1 out of 10, what would you give a rating for the Batman?
10. Instant 10.
You know,
I love this movie. I went to bed after seeing it and like thinking about it for a while. I was like, the movie was really good. It's probably like up there with The Dark Knight and Batman Begins for me. And then I woke up the next day. I was like, no, this is the best one so far for me. I love this one.
I honestly have a very similar hot take. It's bordering between like a 9 to a 10 for me, specifically because I don't know if I like the Riddler, like if I dislike the Riddler like because of his design, or I like it in like this weird grungy way where I'm just like, yes, no, this is perfect for like what the Riddler is. Like it's like I'm just like I hate it, but I like that I hate it because that might be the whole point of the character.
Dude,
So
they took so much inspiration from the Zodiac for Riddler's design and like what he did. He his mask is really similar to an like early sketch of what people thought the Zodiac looked like when he went around doing his killings.
oh wow, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, no, there's like this weird like pillowcase drawing of the Zodiac, and it had him have like his mark on like a piece of paper in the center of his like chest.
Yeah, this movie, I guess we'll get into it. Spoilers ahead. I just feel like it's easier just to get it out of the way, just so we can bounce around on different things.
Yeah.
The introduction, at first, it was weird hearing Robert Pattinson's voice, like, say these certain things. I honestly kind of cringed and giggled when he said, I haven't slept in 2 years. I've become a nocturnal creature. I was like, oh, this sounds kind of cringy, but I can honestly imagine this being in a book. Like, I can imagine reading, like, another Year 2 Batman story, and these be dialogue from the comics, if they already aren't. Like, because this sounds very, like, comic writer-ish.
Yeah, no, it's very... It felt very comic booky, and like it was sort of shot in that way too, because when like sure it's a usual thing for in movies where you cut to like sort of a close-up if someone's talking, but for this I can see like the speech bubbles inside of the boxes, and I can sort of see the layout from going from shot to shot as if you were following along inside of the book itself.
Yeah, and I feel like I have to just to get out of the way. This and The Dark Knight are two completely different ways to tell Batman. Like, The Dark Knight and its whole trilogy did have him being a detective, but this is a noir. This is a noir movie, in and out. Like, you don't get, like, the other feels that certain Batman stories give you, like, the really homey feels, like, when he's with the rest of the Bat family, or, like, the really grungy ones, like when it involves the Joker or Arkham Asylum. Like, this is a detective movie through and through, and it highlights that part of Batman so well, and an early version of Bruce that can be justified in everything that he's doing simply because he's only done this for 2 years. Like, he's an amateur Batman.
Yeah.
So
which really comes through in like the choreography. The choreography for like fight scenes in this movie was great.
Oh my god! I felt some of those punches.
This was abusive. Batman is properly scary in this movie. He
like I was saying earlier,
disarms the first fight where he appears and then just starts beating the crap
in
out
the early
of the
introduction. I felt chills when he was just like, they fear me. Like, they look to like when he was talking about the bat signal, he's like, it's not really a warning to me, it's a warning to everybody else. It's to give them fear. Like, like people are looking into the dark parts of the alley, or like the one guy's looking at the dark part of the bank, and like they're all scared because they're just like, Batman can be there, and they're just like, I don't want to deal with that. And then it happens on like the guy getting mugged on the train. and like just Batman pops out. It reminds me of the one episode of the Batman the Animated Series where like he's breaking into like I think like Falcone's house or someone's house. I don't know. Uh, but then a guard that's patrolling the house opens the door and he's just like, "Is anybody there?" And Batman's just standing there, staring back at him. And then he closes the door and bumps into a different guard. And he's just like, "Are you okay?" He's just like, "Yeah," and walks away. Like Batman, he just has that presence. One of my favorite things that a TikToker that I've watched uh, has said about Batman is like in his earlier years, like people really thought Batman was like a myth. Like he wasn't like this Justice League hero out on the spotlight all the time. Like people would only hear about Batman. Like if you live to survive like your encounter with Batman, then like you it was a horror movie. Like you were the main character.
Yeah, man. It was very similar to like Dracula and vampire stories. Um and uh yeah.
Yeah,
That's all I got for that.
he did so good. And then like I thought like and then like the exchanges between Alfred, it made me it like touched my heart, and like I was like saying it under my breath all the time. I was just like, "He is your father." I was like, "Don't say he's not your father."
I okay. I understand why um Bruce acted the way he did towards Alfred. Um because this is the grungier Bruce. Um and he's still like working through his like initial bit of anger. This isn't like the sweet Bruce that we grew up with the Tim Burton, yeah, as well as the Christopher Nolan
Yeah, the Kevin
Batmans.
Conroy voice.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
but it makes me so sad and so upset whenever Bruce is mean to Alfred.
yeah. I'm just like, no, don't do that to him. My my head can't. So we never got like a real definite age for Bruce in this movie, do we? Like we
um
just know that he's like in his 20s somewhere, right?
yeah, I think so. They didn't say how long ago it's I don't think they've said how long it has been since the murder happened.
Yeah, in which like we don't we know that his it wasn't like the classic crime alley thing. Like his dad was just like assassinated, or his parents
Yeah.
were just killed somehow, like hired by somebody like one of the Falcone people. Or
Yeah.
so we figure out like even if they tell us what age he was, like even if they tell us how many years ago it was, that doesn't help because we don't know how old Bruce was. Because usually Bruce is like anywhere from like 6 to 9,
Hmm.
like somewhere in between that, depending on the origin. And then he like leaves to travel the world when he's like a teenager or something around that time. Which we don't
I
even know
don't
if that's
know.
how this Bruce is.
I don't. Yeah, no. I have a feeling that this Bruce is like Falcone said during the movie, the one bigger recluse than me. I think he's just sort of holed up inside of the
Wayne
mansion
Manor.
for a
Yeah.
really long
Yeah.
time.
I mean, being trained by Alfred's still like being trained by like an ex-military, ex-British operative. So I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's only going to get you so far.
uh,
I've seen a couple people and heard a couple complaints that Batman shouldn't have been beaten up by lowly thugs and other stuff, but like he's an amateur still. This is year 2.
yeah. I'm guessing this Batsuit like also went through some trials and tribulations because like it's like how the Iron Man suit was. Like Tony made modifications eventually. Like Bruce always makes changes to his suit to add more padding in or adding in more like contingencies for stuff.
Oh man, I loved it. It was in the dark. It was at the start of the Dark Knight, or was it in Batman Begins where Bruce said, "I need to be able to move my head. It can't all just be one headpiece."
Yeah, that's actually something that I think Christian Bale talked about, or Christopher
Yeah,
Nolan. That's literally something he talked about when he was like writing it. He was just like, I want to have more dynamic poses.
yeah,
Um,
man. The bat suit design in this movie is so good.
Yeah, I was just like, how his ears are so pointy. Could probably poke somebody's eye out if he headbutted them.
You know the deal with his bat sigil, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the gun.
Yeah.
It's also his only batarang, apparently, because it's the only one we ever see him use. He uses it once, and then he clips it back into his chest and uses it again later.
It was so cool that that was the batarang.
Yeah. He needs to make more of those.
A few more, yeah.
Just, about a few.
It comes back, though.
Not his. He had to go pick it up. But yeah, no. Batman... I guess we'll do character by character, just to make it easier, and then talk about certain plot points. I think Bruce, he definitely evolved during the story, because I think this is the most action he's had besides, like, hardcore crime fighting in his 2 years. I think this movie is supposed to be the apex of his 2 years, because I think the Riddler, like, had done some things before this, maybe? I know, like, the first murder is supposed to be the first one that tips off the GCPD and everything like that. Or that is the major death, because it's supposed to be the mayor. But I definitely saw... You see Bruce's evolution, like, from the beginning. Like, at the end when the one Riddler guy says he is vengeance. Like, Bruce, like, he had to look back at himself. He was just like, this is what I'm causing.
Yeah. I have a feeling that some other villain has popped up because of Batman in this movie, because the Gotham PD as well as Gordon didn't like immediately completely turn their backs on him as soon as the Riddler started like writing letters addressed to the Batman.
Yeah,
it didn't seem like
Gordon
people were trying to
obviously has
give
a
up this
relationship.
random guy.
Yeah, Gordon
It
obviously
seems
has
like
his relationship with him.
Yeah.
Which, not Commissioner Gordon. Sergeant Gordon, I'm guessing. I don't know how police ranks.
Right.
The Commissioner dies, which I'm guessing he just takes up the role.
Probably.
What else? Bruce becoming a beacon of hope at the end, kind of touching. Also just makes me think about Superman, because he's a beacon of hope. Batman's usually just the fearful night creature.
Yeah.
Whether that's him taking into a different direction or not, it's interesting. It's always interesting, like, to, like, make Batman a more lighthearted character, because he's, like, if you know, like, OG, like, first beginnings of Batman, he really didn't start getting super dark until, like, The Dark Knight Returns. Like, that's when, like, comics got gritty. Like, that's when Batman became dark.
Yeah.
But, like, very lighthearted Batman, where the Joker, like, the Joker he stole 10 pies or something like that. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But I think it'd be cool. Be a good way to introduce, like, a Robin.
Yeah.
He's becoming a more lighthearted. He kept looking at that kid. I was just like, that kid's gonna be the next Robin.
We just have to wait for his mom to die so he can swoop in.
No, Bruce Wayne's gonna be
you
like,
need a parent now.
I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna buy your mom. I kept seeing clips on TikTok, and it was just like scenes from Gotham where Bruce Wayne's just spending millions of dollars on things. Like, he goes to an art show, spends $2 billion to spite a rich person. He buys a club because they couldn't let him in, and then he kicks out one of the guys in his friend group because he's being an ass to him.
What? It sounds like something Tony Stark would do in Iron Man 1.
This young Bruce Wayne is, like, very assy. Like, he just spends his inheritance on, like, random shit. And then it reminds me of the one I think it was in The Dark Knight, or it might have been Batman Begins, when he buys the hotel that they're eating at, because, like, the European girls he has with him are, like, skinny dipping in the pool or some shit. And then the guy's just like, you have to leave, and he's just like, I'm buying the hotel. Writes a check right there. But yeah, I can't think of anything about what else about Bruce at the moment. Do you have anything else?
there was one thing about Bruce that I didn't quite like in this movie. And I have a feeling that like by the end of it and by the next movie, which I hope will happen. Um
God, I hope they do. There's so much talk about this movie.
I know. But there it was a little hard for me to tell Batman and Bruce apart.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what they're going for. Like Bat Bruce is the mask that he is wearing when he goes out. Like I'm guessing he spent his entire like most of the 2 years in the Batcave out as Batman. Like Bruce is the mask, Batman is his true self right now.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like he hasn't. Like I said before, he's young. He hasn't disassociated himself, like the two personalities that he's created.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about. You don't really get to see a lot of Bruce Wayne. It's all Batman, even when he's attending the funeral in person. Moving on next, I guess. Let's talk about Alfred. Alfred, the casting choice was amazing. I never thought I'd see Ulysses Claw ever not want to be so punchable. But yeah, no, I think casting was great. I loved Alfred in this movie. It's not like I don't think all the other Alfreds have been good. It's just I don't know. He has spunk still. He's kind of pushing Bruce around. He's just like, come on, you got to do this.
He's a pretty young Alfred too. But I wasn't opposed to it.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of cute how he was like helping him with the ciphers. Like a dad helping his kid with homework.
We had a fight, and now I have to do something nice for this kid. Get him to shut up.
I solved the cipher. Here you go. It's not like I wanted to help you or anything, Baka.
It did warm my heart a little when he like got all like giddy when he saw Bruce putting on his suit to go to the wake.
He was just like, here, take. He was just like, do you have your cufflinks? Or take mine. Yeah, Bruce was really mean in this to Alfred until he got exploded.
Oh my god, when he gave him the cufflinks.
Yeah, he was just like, you're not
a
Wayne.
Wayne. Why do you have these? And Alfred's just like, your dad gave them to me.
Yeah, he's a real asshole in this. Yeah, it's
I said, I don't like it when Bruce is mean to Alfred, and he was really mean to Alfred in this movie, dude.
Bruce must have
There's only one time where I could understand him being mad at Alfred.
Yeah, Bruce must have watched the Green Lantern film before he went in. Because, man, he was just
very
mean.
Angry person.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, man. And then fucking Alfred literally takes a C4 charge for him.
Oh, my God.
I guess we should
And then the first thing he does is yell at him.
He's just like, what's right? You lied to me.
You lied to me.
Yeah, I guess we'll talk. I guess we'll go through the beginning. I guess talking about characters, like, we can do that a little after, since we've already talked about Bruce and thing. So, this movie is it takes place within the first 2 years of this version of Batman, played by Robert Pattinson, and they're hot. He's hot on the trace, and the introduction is it's very gritty and gruesome. Like the first kill within the first 15 minutes of the Riddler killing the mayor. Oh my gosh.
It's so crazy to me that we saw the villain murder somebody before we even saw Batman or Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. In which the Riddler kills the mayor who was running again for mayor against a woman whose name completely
Rial, I believe.
Maybe
I kept reading it as real in the movie, and then I heard them say Real at the end of it, I believe.
I completely forgot about the whole election subplot that was going around. That was like the fourth subplot in.
Yeah.
So it was just something to have the movie going. But he gets murdered. The Riddler leaves behind his body that's duct taped. and what is he? Cut off a finger, and he leaves the weapon behind, and he leaves a note addressed to the Batman, written like a 5-year-old is writing to Batman, like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Batman comes in. GCPD just kind of lets him. Jim Gordon vouches for him throughout this entire movie. Jim, I like the dynamic between them. I hope that we get this more in other media about like how this version of Jim Gordon is.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jim Gordon's always just like, even after he knows like Bruce's identity as Batman, he's always vouching for him. Even when he's gonna die, he's always gonna be like, yeah, no, I trust you.
It's Batman.
Yeah. But the the rest of the movie consists of Batman being like 2 steps behind the Riddler throughout his entire game. We meet up with Selena Kyle, Catwoman, when Batman goes to, what's the name? Do you remember the name of the club?
The Iceberg Lounge.
Oh, the Iceberg Lounge. I was so excited when I heard about it. It's Club 37 or 34 or something like that. That's like an inside club, right?
It's something like that. So 37 below or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I just thought about Rule 34. So,
quick thing about that. When we see Catwoman leaving the Iceberg Lounge, and we have this like really open shot showing the Iceberg Lounge and some buildings. In the top left corner of the screen, there is a building with its windows on, and you can see somebody taking pictures. That's the Riddler. You can see him taking the shots.
That's interesting because he's it's interesting because he's right there. Like that's
he's
where his
there
plan
the
of
entire
operations
time.
is. Yeah, that's interesting. So he really knew where everybody was the entire time. He probably saw Batman going in, or at least breaking down. The twins at the fucking Iceberg Lounge were hilarious.
It was Tweedledee and Tweedledum, right?
I have no idea. I'm guessing. I saw on TikTok somebody talking about how they're like actors in Teen Wolf, and I was like, oh gosh. But no, their whole altercation. It's so interesting how we see them.
Do you know who I am?
We see them interacting with him 3 times. They interact with Bruce 3 times. The first time he goes in, what is it? He goes in and then beats one of them up, or like
he asks, "Do you know who I am?" After saying he wants to talk to the
and then he closes the door
on his face.
And then he opens it
back up with his brother. And they're like, "Yeah, we know who you are." And they're like, "I'm not gonna let you in." So he starts beating the shit out of them.
Yeah, and then
that's what Batman does.
And then what is it? The second time he opens the door, nobody's there. He walks out, and then Bruce just walks through as Batman.
That's the last time. The second time we see him, it's
actually Bruce.
He's sad Bruce Wayne going to talk to Falcone.
Yeah,
did my dad actually do this?
Yeah, he's like, I need to know. But yeah,
Falcone.
Yeah, it's interesting. We get to see another rising up story. I don't know if you've seen Gotham before, but a big part of Gotham was the fact that we saw like the evolution and the Penguin rising through the ladder of the criminal underworld, which in this movie we see him as like Falcone's right hand man, you know. But in Gotham we saw him like start at like the literal bottom, like he was bussing tables at one of Falcone's establishments. So it's really interesting. I did not recognize the actor for Cobblepot. His name escapes me. Should have been more prepared. But he looks nothing like he actually does in real life.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, Colin Farrell looks. They transformed him in the makeup department. He was doing an interview the other day, and he literally said the only person that recognized him was the director. Like, people were literally talking about him, and like some guy walked up to him, and then he was just like, "Who are you?" He's just like, or he like walked up to somebody. And he was just like, "Nice day we're having." And then he was just like, "Yeah." And then the guy walked over to the director, and the director was like, "No, that's Colin Farrell." And then he's just like, "What?" Yeah, he interesting with that. Especially since we're supposed to be getting a Penguin TV show, which I feel like will be really fun. I hope we see him in a top hat and in a suit, and he has an umbrella that's a machine gun. I hope that's something.
What did you think of Falcone? We don't really ever see Falcone that much in the comics, do we?
Falcone. I mean, we know who Falcone is. I don't know if he's dead currently in the comics, but Falcone's a very important person to the Gotham Underground.
Absolutely.
There's like two halves to the Gotham Underground. There's like the mob, and then there's like all the insane people who go to Arkham and that are super villains. Like, there's like the actual mob, and then there's people that like super villains, like either work for the mob or like they don't touch the mob, but like they still interact with like the Gotham Underground with like the supervillains. And like the Iceberg Lounge is a great example. Like, it's a place where like supervillains and like ill-hearted people go all the time.
I loved whenever Falcone was on screen. John Turturro is a great actor.
Really good casting there too.
It felt like Michael Corleone was on screen from The Godfather.
Yeah.
I do have one slight regret though, and it's that I have seen the Michael Bay Transformers movies.
Oh, so you see him as the one guy?
So I see him as Simmons, right? And the first time I saw who was playing him, I was like, oh no, he's directly underneath the enemy scrotum.
So funny. Oh god, whenever I think about Transformers, I always think left cheek, left cheek, left cheek.
Left cheek, left cheek.
But yeah, no, I thought they did a good job imposing like Falcone's like the power that he has. Like, we don't see him that much. We see Cobblepot more than I think we see Falcone.
Yeah.
Which is very mob bossy. I feel like that leads, especially like when we see him talking to Bruce, we see he's like in this really heavily guarded like Playboy penthouse on the lower floor. Weird. I think it was like there was still a window, so like I don't know if it was like above or below the iceberg. But I think they did a really good job with him. Falcone dies, right? Yeah, Falcone dies,
Yes.
leaving Cobblepot to pick up the remains of everything going on in his area.
Penguin, more like Buzzard.
The whole like rat with wings thing just kept like it honestly kind of got annoying. I was just like, can you guys figure out who this was supposed to be?
Rat, Alana.
I was just like, is it okay? A rat with wings. I was just like, I guess it could be a bat, and then they're just like, a penguin. I was just like, a penguin, a flightless bird. What? And then it's like,
And then a rat with wings could be Falcon.
yeah, a falcon could be a rat with wings. I was like, what the hell is this?
It was so cheesy whenever they solved the riddles. I loved it. It was so funny to me.
They
The
lie
first
still.
time yeah, oh my god, he lies still. I didn't think that was funny at first, and
Then you think about it.
and then then the cop was like, what? It's just like, dead body lies still. And then this lady behind me starts cracking up, and then like it caused a ripple effect, and the entire theater started laughing.
That's great.
Oh my god. The thumb drive was the funniest one to me, though.
Oh my god, when he was
Thumb drive.
Bruce was like, I'm looking for a USB. Like, okay, and then he's just like, thumb drive. Use the thumb. I was like, what the heck?
The thumb looked like one of those fake arms
It
or
looks
legs that you
so.
could buy at a Halloween
It looks so
store.
fat. I was like, "Are you sure
Yeah,
that's the
and
mayor's thumb?"
it was like kind of green too.
Yeah.
I think there was like duct tape from like what the Riddler made his mask out of around it.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Can we talk
which would
about?
probably explain that.
Can we talk about? We're just gonna go off hinge here. I want to talk about how like about the Riddler. All they had
Uh-huh.
to do was look up who's buying all the fucking duct tape in Gotham, and they probably could have found him. This guy
No, it would
duct
have been
tape.
split across all of his followers.
This guy duct tape. Then they have 500 plus. Oh god, I want to talk about that
500
too.
followers, only 10 show up at the
504.
climax.
Oh my god, like this guy bought so much duct tape. How do you not question this guy like a person buying duct tape in surplus? Like
Uh, I have a feeling whoever he bought it from, if it was in person, then anyone talking to him would just leave him alone.
yeah,
He's a
they're just
very
oh.
he's a very normal looking guy, but he's so happy all the time. It kind of unnerves me.
He's the guy's probably like, oh, he's gonna use that on me if I ask him. Oh no.
I love the Riddler in this movie.
He was very creepy. Oh, the
He's so
selfie
creepy.
videos and like the hard breathing. I
And
I
he starts
cringed at it.
screaming,
I
dude.
cringed at it, but at the same time, I feel like the character was made so well in that image that like I can't not like it. Like they
Like,
did such a good job with making him such a despicable, disgusting like incel of a character that like it works so well.
yeah, I like it when the Riddler's goofy occasionally, but like this kind of Riddler where it's goofy about like killing people and dismembering them, um, is amazing.
Yeah, this I was talking about this with my friend because I guess the post credit scene is supposed to or like the end scene with the Riddler and Arkham is I think that's supposed to be the Joker. I think it's
I
already
think
been
so.
confirmed to be the Joker. Um
It looked like him. He had a big nose too. Um,
um
so
which is being played by Druig in the Eternals, the guy who plays Druig from the Eternals.
oh,
Yeah, that was
that's
his
who it is.
that was his secret casting. Like I'm pretty sure his casting got put over like social media and stuff and like nobody knew who he was, so people were just like he's the Joker. Um
Cool.
but I was talking about this with my friend. A lot of things, a lot of small things were in this movie. Like over one of his things in his apartment, he put Hush, which my friend earlier in the movie was just like, "What if this guy's Hush?" Because they were talking about Tom. They were talking about the Elliots dying. For those who don't know, Thomas Elliot is the son of the Elliot family, who are like really close with the Waynes, and Thomas Elliot
Oh
is a
shit.
character named Hush, who is one of Bruce's childhood best friends, who kind of is like the ultimate opposite to Bruce. His parents were Bruce's parents were murdered. Thomas Elliot murdered his parents. Bruce gained his family's fortune. Thomas Elliot got it taken away from him, and like Thomas Elliot like he created this revenge plotline in an incredible story, like trying to break Bruce down and like destroy his life because like he's the uh epiphany of what he would want to be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, there's a part like where it had like Hush spray painted over it, and I was just like, bro, if this is Thomas Elliot as the Riddler and eventually will be Hush, I was like, that would be crazy. Um, because those who don't know, like Hush, like I think he like modifies people's face. Like he gives people like surgery to like identify them as like different people in like his schemes and stuff. And I think it includes himself. Um, uh, that, along with what I was just talking about, the Joker possibly being in this, being locked up by GCPD. There's another story in the comic books, a really good story called The War of Jokes and Riddles, which is where the Riddler like completely goes like super serious, and he declares war on the Joker, and like the Gotham Underground splits in half, like half of it siding with the Riddler and half of it siding with the Joker, and
Mhm.
it is like an ultimate war that Batman has to like maneuver around very detailedly, because like who do you help? Like you have to help the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, Crazy things happen in that story too, which would be a whole movie on its own, like a whole side movie that would involve Batman. Um, but yeah, no, the Riddler. I laughed at the live streaming scene or like the video scene. He was like, "Oh, thanks, guys. I really had trouble with figuring out explosive triggers. You guys are really awesome. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the Twitch Prime subs." Like,
I
uh,
loved I loved the questions on the right hand side saying, "Oh, I loved your mask. Where'd you get it?"
and then the guy's just like, "They got everything at the army supply store." Yeah, no. Um, when I saw that and like that ending part, I was just like, "Oh crap, it's a lot bigger." I was just like, "They caught him, and there's still 20 minutes left in the movie. What's gonna happen?" And then it was just like, "There's 50. There's like 10. I'd say like there was more than 10 of them, but there were a number of other Riddlers. Like it was interesting. It kind of reminded me of like the
Yeah.
Joker gang from Batman Beyond. Like
Oh,
The Joker, his empathy, or like an injustice, like when people became like they sided with the Joker. Like this supervillain created such positivity in people that like they disguise themselves or like motive themselves after them, and will listen to whatever they say.
amen.
Um, yeah, how did you feel about the whole grimy backstory with the Waynes?
Oh, where he was an orphan? And
No,
the
no, the well, like the whole renewal act thing in general, and like figuring out that like Thomas was actually letting people use it as like an embezzlement thing.
uh I thought that was really well written. I thought it was a good subplot to it. Um was he letting them? I thought they said in the movie that he died and then everyone just started embezzling the money because it wasn't being protected by anyone anymore.
Okay, maybe it was that, but um, it
It it it gave a lot more motivation to Riddler to have of actual like hatred towards the city and to be able to do stuff like this.
and
Because
Bruce.
usually, from what I've seen for origins for him before, what he's just usually an accountant who's just kind of upset with his job and wants to be like Batman, but actually like kill people. Well, almost kill people.
Yeah, it's like something along those lines. He likes to have a game, usually.
Yeah, he wants to be the greatest detective.
Something like that. My favorite part, I think it was during like an animated movie or like in the comic books. He's just like, "You know my identity," and he's just like, "Yeah, I do." And then he's just like, "Are you gonna hold it over my head?" And he's just like, "Yes, I will." And then he's just like, "Well, if you tell everybody, then everybody will know the answer to the greatest joke." And then he's just like, "Huh?" And he's just like, "You won't be the only person to know the answer to the question if you tell everybody my identity." And then he's just like, "Ah, ah,
Really good.
ah." He like has an aneurysm.
Dude, did you think that he figured out that it was that Bruce was Batman at the end of the movie too?
No. I feel like that would have been such a good thing to do, but they didn't take that route.
Yeah.
Um,
When he just started saying Bruce, I was like, no way.
I was like, this guy knows, and he's just like, too bad we didn't get him, right, Batman? And I was just like, oh, never mind. He's not as smart as I thought he was. I mean, it wouldn't take two and two, especially like in this era. Like Bruce Wayne's not leaving the house, and then this guy comes out in the middle of the night beating people up. It wouldn't be too far to like draw the conclusion, but uh, Yeah, no. I thought his freak out was interesting when he was just like, "What do you
Oh, where he
mean we're
started
not the
having the temper
same?"
tantrum,
Yeah,
and then he just started singing at him.
yeah. Um, Selena Kyle, what do you think of Catwoman?
Great, she did great. Um, I I like that she had it was a more subtle Catwoman kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I see Catwoman, it's either that it's done like this, where it's super subtle and it's just sort of her outfit and weapons are thematically cat-like,
Mhm.
or she starts meowing and purring at people, and I don't like that one.
Oh,
I'm gonna
did you
be
see
real.
that at the end, like when she was trying to kill Falcone, that's the outfit she wore? Like she wore like a Holly Berry-esque Catwoman costume. Like her dress was very like leathery and like fit
Oh,
very similarly. Yeah.
I don't know if I caught that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I really don't like it when they meow, man. Like I remember the Adam West Batman movie where he like rescues Catwoman, who I think her like pseudo name was Lady Kitka or
Yeah.
something, and she would just like meow with a Russian accent.
Meow.
It was very off-putting as a kid.
Um
Much similar to seeing the shark repellent.
I mean that you never know. He does fight.
Someday,
He does
someday, shark repellent will be brought back up
King
in
Shark's
a
gonna come to
modern
Gotham
movie.
one day and then he's gonna taste his fury.
Oh, I never put two and two together that there's actually a villain that shark repellent works really
Yes.
good on.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure like King Shark no, there's only one King Shark. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If fucking Barry ever comes and he's just like, I need your shark repellent. He's just like, why? It's like King Shark's really he's really making me mad.
He's big.
He's super big.
Num num.
Keeps trying to eat me. Yeah, no, I thought Selena Kyle was really great. I felt like her attitude. They gave her a little bit more of an interesting backstory in this one. I've always thought like Catwoman was like bland for the most part, like for her character, in like a lot of media, because like I
Yeah.
feel like they try to put her as like the damsel, if not like the love interest, like with zero personality for Bruce. Um, yeah, I thought it was interesting. Um, also, I'm pretty sure everybody would know who Bruce Wayne is if he's just driving around in the same motorcycle he uses as Batman. Just saying.
Is that the same license plate too?
Probably.
All right. Do you okay? He probably takes the license plate off.
He bends it.
Which begs the question: do you think that there's a Gotham PD officer that is willing to try to pull Batman over for breaking the law?
What I like to think is that he takes off the actual license plate and then he just puts a license plate that just has the Bat logo on it.
Dude, I
'Cause who's
love
gonna
that there
pull
was
over
at least
Batman?
one Gotham PD officer that was like, wait, he can't come through here.
Yeah, he's just like
Like,
no.
the balls on this man. If like sure, here if you're working in Gotham PD, you probably have heard or maybe seen Batman at that point. And if you have, you're not gonna mess with him. But even if you're not in the know about Batman existing and you see your sergeant walk through with a guy dressed like a bat,
Yo,
I'm staying away from him. That's above
are
my
you
pay
really
grade,
gonna
my friend.
stop this guy? Like, a lot of people think of like Batman as just like a lunatic dressed up in a bat costume that beats people up. Are you gonna stop him? Like, yeah, that's his go-to. But are you gonna be the guy to stop him? I won't. If he's crazy enough to dress up as a bat and beat people up at night, I'm not gonna touch him. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah, no. I thought it was
Pull
so
over.
funny.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah, when he socks Jim Gordon in the face, like when they're trying to do the distraction
Oh my
thing,
God.
and then everybody runs after him. I'm just like, what are you guys doing?
Everyone's just bumbling around.
Go get him! Go get him!
You could put Benny Hill music over the Gotham PD
I think
chase scene
somebody
and have
did.
a
I think I
very
saw it on
different
TikTok.
movie.
And then like he uses his fucking grappling hook, and then they're all just trying to shoot up.
It's just shooting him, and he's just going straight up.
Yeah. Like, oh gosh. It's so good. For those who don't know, there's a GCPD show that was announced, taking place in the same universe as this. But apparently it got rewritten. I'm seeing a lot of news about this now. It's going to be a GCPD / Arkham Asylum show. So, how this works, who knows? But I think having a show about Arkham Asylum is definitely a good way to introduce some of the villains that there could be. Because Batman has a lot of obscure villains. Some that I feel like don't deserve their own limelight in movies. Others,
Firefly.
yeah, or like the Ten-Eyed Man. You know about him?
God, the Ten-Eyed Man.
Yeah, like different people like them.
Man-Bat.
Man-Bat's cool.
Man-Bat is cool. I don't think there will ever be a solo movie where it's Man-Bat as the villain, though.
No, just a solo movie about Man-Bat. They need to have their own Morbius movie they never release.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hope the movie comes out, man. I want to see Morbius so bad.
Yeah. At this point, I'm kind of. Somebody asked, like, what is the Batman movie or Batman villain that you want to see to the big screen, and this guy was just like Killer Croc or Clayface. Specifically, Killer Croc being like a serial killer or like a serial cannibal killer, like a cannibalistic serial killer.
Ooh.
Because like Killer Croc does that. He's just a normal guy with a skin disease.
I want Zaz to show up.
Zaz would be interesting.
I feel like Zaz could fit in well if we do another horror movie kind of. If this just becomes a trend of Batman movies becoming horror movies, I am all for it.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think Clayface would be cool.
Clayface would be cool.
Yeah, I can't think of Arnold Freeze except being Arnold Freeze? Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is canonically just Arnold for me.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's just him.
Oh no.
Get in the fridge. Who else?
It's time to chill.
Yeah, no, I can't think of other Batman villains at the moment. Calendar Man. Would be
Calendar Man deserves a movie.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're gonna do an Arkham thing. I think a lot of people not in the know about like Batman lore assume that everybody goes to Arkham Asylum. That's not the whole thing. Like Arkham Asylum is a asylum. Like it's meant for the mentally ill. There's another place in Gotham called Blackgate. And Blackgate is where people like Bane go. Like just regular supervillains.
Actual villains.
Yeah, like anybody who isn't like.
It's where Black Mask goes.
Yeah, anybody who's like part of like the mob and like isn't criminally insane. That's where they go.
Next movie, we're gonna see Arkham Asylum escapees dealing with the mob. We're gonna see Penguin fighting Black Mask. That's what I want to see from the next movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of like gang-oriented stuff they could totally do with this. I just feel like there needs to be a distinction that like not all the supervillains are going to be in Arkham. Like Blackgate is on an island. I think it's not on Rikers Island. Blackgate's on an island in the middle of Gotham Bay, and
Arkham's on like the outskirts of.
It's on a hill.
Gotham usually.
Yeah, it's like on the outskirts of Gotham on a hill, and usually what happens is Blackgate, like since it's in there, like it's in the center of Gotham because Gotham Bay is literally like in the heart of Gotham. Gotham Bay is what floods out the entirety of Gotham in the movie. But usually what happens is like whenever Blackgate has like a breakout, like people from Blackgate like just go straight back into Gotham because it's literally like a hop, skip, and a jump from like where they are. But Blackgate, whenever it gets shut down, then they send everybody to Arkham as a holding facility. Like whenever big riots break out and Batman has to beat people up, they usually take all of the other.
Pardon my dog.
They usually take all of the people in Blackgate and put them in Arkham. That's what happens in the Arkham games, right? Like I think that happens once in the Arkham games. Like Blackgate has an outage, so they have to move people over.
I think so.
Yeah.
That might be it.
What else? What else do you have? I can't.
The Batmobile. Can we talk about the Batmobile, please?
Oh,
the Batmobile
yeah.
was so fucking.
It's all
cool.
practical.
It's all practical.
Did I tell you that the director said that the fire scene where he like jumps through the fire, that was all practical? Like that wasn't CG at all. He just drove through fire.
It's so cool. I never really liked the Tumbler. I don't like it when the Batmobile's just a tank.
I thought it was.
I like it when it's a car.
I thought it was cool for the games, but like
the games, it was cool. But also for the games, you transformed it into the tank.
Yeah,
it was a car normally.
Yeah,
my favorite design has always been like bouncing between the animated series and Adam West's Batman.
Yeah, I always thought like a sleek aerodynamic car has always been the best for the Batmobile.
And this one just being a muscle car, I never knew I needed that, but I do.
I need it.
And the blue fire in the engine, dude, it's just a muscle car that he put a jet engine in.
Yeah, he was just like, I need to go fast. Yeah, that whole driving scene was amazing. We had gotten that was probably like nearly an hour in. And, like, then we actually got to see the Batmobile. I was like, I totally forgot this thing was in this movie. I was so excited. What else? This movie has a lot.
It is a very long movie. That's one of my big gripes with it.
That's 3 hours.
Yeah. Albeit, I might have enjoyed it more if I had actually been able to be in a more modern movie theater seat, because I mean the modern ones nowadays are the luxury recliners that have like leg rests. I went to see this movie in IMAX, which is great. IMAX is awesome for movies, and this was a great movie to see IMAX in. But it still had the old chairs. Where I had to share leg room with other people.
Gross.
There was no leg rest whatsoever. I had very little space for my arms to exist. And sitting in one of those for 3 hours is rough.
Yeah. I felt like at the hour and a half mark, I really did feel like my legs, even like in comfortable seating, like it felt long, but it definitely I feel like I could easily watch this in the comfort of my own home for 3 hours straight, as long as I had like snacks and stuff. It definitely keeps you intrigued.
Another thing, and this is like the only other thing that bugs me about movies getting to be this length. Movies this length, if they have the content to get you through it, great. This movie did.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to plan out bathroom visits.
Yeah,
inside of a movie. The fact that, and when I heard, when my mother told me about the whole, these 5 no context spoilers will tell you when it's safe to go to the bathroom in Endgame. When I heard that, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. That's stupid. I don't want to feel rushed to going to see a movie. I've already spent so much money. I don't need to have a crisis.
I don't think a Snyder cut needs to happen again. As much as people want other people's philosophies to go through again, I don't think we need 6 hours of anything anymore. I think the Lord of the Rings was the penultimate. Yeah, no. It was. That could be a whole nother video. That could be a whole nother episode of the podcast. Um,
Harrison.
it was. It was long. Not enough content to justify the length of it. Um. Um. Yeah, this movie. This movie was great. Uh, that's really all I can say. This movie has so much. It was really cool. Reportedly, Robert Pattinson was stealing socks on set. It's great that he was having a lot of fun with this. During an interview, he talked about reading The Court of Owls, a really great series, and one of the best things to come out of the New 52 with Batman. Which, honestly, I thought so much was going on in this movie. I was just like, this could be the Court of Owls that they're talking about with the Gotham Underground. I was like, Hush. I was like, Thomas Elliot could be the Riddler, and then it could be Hush later on. I was like, there's so much we could be talking about here. Um,
Absolutely.
like, apparently, is Martha Wayne usually in Arkham? Is that like the distinction they were trying to make in this movie?
I don't know. I know that it happened every now and again. The first thing that popped in my mind when I heard that Martha had like killed somebody or had gone insane, whatever it was Flashpoint,
Uh huh.
where she became the Joker after the death of her son.
Yeah, is she like in Arkham? No, because she's a Kane. He's Cassandra Cain's related to Bruce on Bruce's mom's side. Yeah, no, because they're talking about like stuff with the Arkhams and the Waynes and everything. I was just like, that's interesting. I want to know what dirt Falcone has, or the guy had on Bruce's mom, because that's interesting. Interesting little drama that we get to see.
Maybe we'll get to see more of that in the sequel.
The fact that she's a Kane makes me think about Kate Kane, which, of course, Batwoman. So
Hmm.
there's so much. Um, Anything else you want to talk about? From just like the movie in general, you thought interesting and everything.
Um, I think we've covered anything that really jumps out at me.
Okay. I guess we'll move on to what do you want from coming from this movie? Like, what do you want? Like, we already had the whole Penguin shows announced. We have the Gotham GCPD slash Arkham show was announced as well. What do you think? What do you want out of like side media sequels, that type of thing?
Um, Sequels, something out of sequels. Um, I want to see more of Bruce
Yeah.
being Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be able to find the separation that can exist between Bruce and Batman.
Yeah.
Um, Robin might be cool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not sure how they can introduce a Robin into this gritty of a world and have it look okay.
I feel like they could do
They'd
like
have to do like
they could do
an
like the
older
Titans. Well,
Robin.
they could do like the Titans, him being like a teenager. Have you seen those costumes for the Titans show?
I've not watched it.
Okay, like they have like, well, of course he has pants and stuff. But he's like a teenager.
I hope so.
Like Jason's like a teenager. I'd say Jason's like 16 or 17. Which I feel like
It's
they'd have
Jason.
the second one. Dick is Robin, but like Jason's picked up from by Bruce when he's like a teenager, like a mid-teenager. I feel like it could be like that.
Yeah.
I don't think Bruce really has to raise Dick from being 11 years old. I feel like an 11-year-old in this dark and gritty series wouldn't make a lot of sense.
No.
Um, yeah, I think that
More gadgets, maybe.
another Batarang.
Another battering. Yeah. Can it just be? Can it correlate to the amount of Batman films we get?
Yeah.
So Batman 2 he has 2, Batman 3 he has 3.
Yeah. Any side media, he throws half a Batarang. Yeah. I kind of want. I guess I want like the Arkham show to talk about his rogues gallery. I feel like that's a perfect opportunity for his rogues gallery to be talked about and introduced. Um,
Absolutely.
the Bat family's humongous. Um, they can do so much in so little time. Uh, honestly, I think it'd be interesting if they brought on the Robins like very fast. Like if next movie we see him with Robin, I think it'd be interesting and also not a surprise. Um, but I feel like there'd be a lot of questions about like where he is, and they'd have to do an introduction and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. Anything else you can think of?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Sorry about that. Um, I there's so much potential within this universe. There's so much stuff that they could do, so many things that are possible, and I'm just really happy that this movie turned out good. For something I really wasn't hyped about, I came out of this movie more satisfied than I have a lot of comic book movies in a while. Like
Yeah.
I honestly felt more satisfied with this movie than a lot of MCU projects within the past couple years.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Um, but if we don't have anything else, I think this is where we are going to end it. Do you have anything else before we do the outro?
I've got nothing.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Domestic Boyfriends podcast. I am Dean, and
I'm Vinny.
um, check out our socials down below. I am at lying_mask.
And I am at Vincent Barlow 08.
And you can tweet at us at those or at domestic BF pod for any questions or comments. And if you just want to chat. So once again, thank you for listening.
See ya, beautiful people.